Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. We thought we'd bring together some industry leaders to talk about technician MPI videos in the shop. We've got with us today from New York State, Tom Druzynski, who is the Director of Service Operations at the West Her Automotive Group, the largest franchised retailer in New York State. From the Nilo Company in Sacramento, Tully Williams and Larry Sherman are both with us. And completing our West Coast regimen, Mike Weldon, no stranger to the roundtable and a great friend and anchor of the roundtable with CPI executive coaching. So, gentlemen, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Dealers are now making their plans for 2026. We've had some conversations recently on some unique things that are happening that focus on helping the technician provide a better quality video. Tom, I want to come to you. West Her, this has been a big initiative for you, and maybe you want to bring us up to speed on some of the things you're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've fully banked on video, the video MPI, that whole entire process, starting end of last year and now continued on through 2025, and definitely keeping that focus into 2026. Making sure that the technicians have an understanding of the expectations for the videos. We want to start with the license plate of the vehicle. This way, the customer always knows it's their vehicle. We want them to look at certain things. We want to have the tires present on the video. We want to have the brakes. We want to see the undercarriage. We want to see filters. So making sure the technicians have that understanding of what's expected of them when they do the video, and on top of that, making sure that you're watching the videos. That's something that I missed. Realized that we missed it. We pushed so hard to make sure the videos were being done and that they were being sent to the customers. I didn't inspect what I expected, and found out that we had some techs that were just checking boxes and we were sending out silent videos. But I can't I can't overstate how important that video process is in the evolution of our business. To steal a little bit from this guy, I mean, we talk about two things in these panels religiously. We talk about hours and we talk about retention. The video process is going to get you more hours. The advisors are going to be able to sell better. Customers are going to trust what's being put out in front of them. They can see it with their own eyes. It's way easier to understand. And then talk about retention, right? What keeps the customers coming back? It's the trust. We want to be their guy. We want to be, hey, I got a guy. Whatever it is that you need taken care of in your vehicle, and trust is a big factor. And let's face it, dealers are not always the most convenient. We're not the cheapest. But if our reputation is there, they know that they can trust us every single time. It's gonna pay dividends. I guarantee it.
Tom, approximately how many technicians overall employed at West Her under your direction?
We have over 600.
Wow. And this is now something you're doing in most or all the locations?
All stores. We actually went through. We tested a bunch of different devices. We went with an Apple product. We bought one for every single technician, so they have a login with that application. So they're not using their own personal phone. We don't risk damaging their property, anything along those lines. They're all set up on our network, so we know that they're secure. There's no customer information that's being lost because it's on a technician's phone, and it's worked out really well.
And adoption, and how's it working out so far?
Fantastic. I mean, again, I anticipated slow adoption. This is a new process for a lot of people. So we're really about a full year in, and we're north of 85% for the take rate, and we're north of 85% for the send rate. Now, that's the take rate. I think 85 is great because the way that our system works, even if the advisor requests that we don't do a multi-point inspection for whatever reason, it's returning for a special order part, or it still counts as an RO. So that 85% realistically is probably closer to 95%.
Tully, you've been doing this for a little while at Nilo. Bring us up to speed.
Well, Tom's spot on. I think that, we've been doing it at the Nilo company for the last 6 years since I've been there. But I tell you, the adoption was a huge deal, and we decided that we were going to pay our technicians to do that quality inspection and the video. And we decided if you're going to do both, you would get a half an hour, which is a lot, but we wanted a quality inspection that we can hold them accountable. And here's the deal. If you were not at 90%, you would drop down to 3/10. One store challenged it 3 years ago and never has looked back since. But I think Tom talked about the quality of the video, and that's the struggle that we have, right? And I think that, Tom's come out with this great idea here is to have a thing for the technicians to look at. We do a lot of tech contests around those videos to challenge those videos to make sure it happens. And those have been very successful, where our top tech got $2,000 for the best quality video that we all voted for. But the goal is to make the excitement around it and show the value to the technician and how better it sells. When you look at our same day selling, we're about 65, almost 70% of all of our red items that we sell. And that's because of great quality technician videos. Now, Tom also put a spot on about how making sure that we do it with every RO. We're 99%, 98%. Why? Technician wants to get paid. It's on every video, on every RO, end of story. As Tom says, you have a special order part or something that came back the same day, we wouldn't do it. But the next thing is the customers actually looking at the video and the quote that we sent. We spend all this money, and are we actually getting view rates? So today, this morning, when I looked at our poll, we are at 90% of every video or quality quote that we're sent, we're getting a view at, and that is the challenge that we have. How do I get that to 95%? Education from our great service advisors is going to help. But the power around the video, I think the adoption was quickly, as Tom said, is that they realized, wow, look what I can do. The next big thing, let's turn the video around and show the face of the technician. And that is going to be the fun part.
Tom, to follow up with you, that view rate is sure is something you're keeping daily tabs on as well at West Her.
It is, and it's fantastic to watch. Not only the videos get viewed, but you can see when they get shared, which is very cool. Customers are sending them to other people and showing them, showing their significant, their friends, hey, look at the way that our dealer takes care of us. Look what they sent. So it's fantastic to watch those things happen.
All right.
Let me just chime in on that, Tom. Spot on. Is the one that we share the most is our Porsche stores, because their view rate is like 120%, and that's because they're doing the share rate, and I think that is so cool.
Tully, and I've seen you got some great texts there. We spent some time at one of your Porsche locations. Mike Weldon, you're traveling around the country. You're not limited anymore to just Northern California. What are you seeing in terms of adoption on these tech MPI videos?
We've talked about this quite a bit in our little circles, and the biggest thing that I find in dealerships, they're hoarders. They have all these mechanisms, and they stick them in a box, and they put them over in the corner, and they say, "We're doing it," but yet they're not inspecting what they expect, and showing them the value. And once they get this aha moment, and they look at, and then you put the numbers in front of them. To everybody's point here is that you increase your return on investment by 60%. Your technicians become bought in. The other part that we're not talking about as much, but you've got to get the advisors to be bought in with it, because it helps them. It simplifies their job. And Tully made a very good point. You've got to compensate those technicians for their time. They're an asset. Make sure that you utilize them, and then your expectations, you can set those expectations. So the stores that I've been in, that we grabbed this little device out of the box and we got it back out into the shop, it's intriguing to see that everybody says, "Oh, I just got some additional time," based on finding needed items that the customer and the shop really was unaware of, because it now forces us to look at that car a little bit differently. And I said, see, that toy is worth using, and the return is great.
Larry, Tully tells me that in 2026, he's making a pledge to sell more parts. And I think this is part of Tully's strategy at the Nilo company. What are you seeing there, Larry?
Yeah, well, absolutely. And, we all know parts sells hours, and parts is the backbone of fixed operations. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. But, like what Mike said, you talk about all these tools being in a cardboard box in the corner of the office and this and that. Well, Tully has done a phenomenal job. Oh my God, his head. Can you put the screen on like wide angle or something? Because his head's going to get bigger. Okay. But Tully does such a phenomenal job about communicating that with everybody. Our Tully television every day, we see all of the numbers. Everything is posted. There's no secrets. Okay. He does a really good job about communicating. He does a phenomenal job about putting together the contests and make things fun and challenging. And from the beginning, seeing the evolution of all of these things has just been phenomenal. And you talk about it, really it boils down to doing the basics brilliantly, right? It's all of these things. None of these things are hard to do. They're all very simple, they're all very basic. But when you do the basics brilliantly, you have tremendous amount of success, which is what we've had at the Nilo organization.
Larry, to follow up, when you mentioned Tully Television, are those the big screen TVs that we see all throughout the shops, throughout offices, in all the locations where you're following the green, yellow, and red on each of the metrics, and you have things like stores being ranked and
Yep.
right behind you? There we go.
Yep, right there. He does a phenomenal job with all of that stuff and the information. Like I said, the information is overwhelming. I think he had a really good teacher when he was at DGDG named Jagdish. Taught him how to use Excel and all of this stuff.
And Tully, I know one of the things that we appreciate about you, you might be a little excitable, but you speak in caps, okay, cap letters and a lot of exclamation points, but you do
Got to.
cross.
You got to get people excited. That's the whole thing, right?
Yeah, Tully's best friend is spell check.
Larry reminds me of that. But one thing back to the pictures and video, I think that one thing we're also learning is that warranty when we're asking for goodwill, when your rep knows that you take pictures and video, they want to look at the pictures and video. So we automatically send those, and goodwill's better. But here's the next step that we're looking at, talking about 2026.
Yeah.
I don't want an extended warranty adjuster ever to come to my stores ever again. They're not, no offense to any of them, they're not the smartest people on the planet. And they don't understand what's happening because we work on this brand as we are factory trained. He is practicing on automobiles. And what we're doing is we are sending our pictures and video to our extended warranty companies to make sure they understand that we are not we are telling them the truth and they can see it and reduce or not even eliminate those visits, which saves a day or two. And we have worked hard, and in the starting next month, zero. If you don't send a picture and video, it is not going to be approved. And I think that's going to help us tremendously. So that's to me the evolution of pictures and video that helps us run our business better every day.
Tom, Tully's right. The pictures and videos, go a longer way, not just the retail customer, but other people, other customers along the way.
100%. And the extended warranties is a great example. That's something I was going to mention as he was talking about that with factory warranties. It's amazing how much quicker you get an approval from an extended warranty company. Again, we talk about trust. That's the answer. They're an insurance company. So by nature, they have to be kind of distrustful. This overcomes that instantly, and it's amazing. It's one of those things where, again, the need for video in every single area. We talk about hours and we talk about those sort of things. The reality is in a lot of places, we've got a lot of stores where I couldn't put another technician if we had one. So the only thing that I can do is to work to make our people more efficient and to be able to give them time back. The time they put into the videos is time well spent because it means we get more approvals, we get them faster, and they're able to continue to keep working. That's the only way we all make money is if the technicians are in their bay turning hours.
Tom, you mentioned technicians in their bay. Recently, as part of this initiative, you shared with us that you've actually created a magnet with a checklist for the techs and things that you expect them to do on these videos. Speak to us about that. Why did you create that? Why is that important? And how's that working out?
So we have a wonderful training team. I give all the credit to our training staff that goes as we installed this process in all of the stores. I had individual people that would go to the stores. We'd have a couple of technicians. I have an advisor trainer that would go, and I have another director that would go and make sure that he helped to install everybody's logins, make sure that they worked, make sure they knew how to use the devices. And it was one of the things that they noticed early was there was not a reference. There was not the ability for somebody to go, hey, I don't remember. Did we want to do this? For them to go back and check. Not only that, but new technicians coming in weren't necessarily getting that same training that the technicians that were there when we installed the process got. So in order to do that, our team built this magnet, which I don't have with me, but I mean it's a decent size. I mean it's probably probably that big, that wide, sticks right to the 2-post lifts or to their toolbox that they can always go back and reference exactly the things that we want to see in the video. How to send it, what criteria we want, the process. We want you to start with the license plate, and it's got all of those different steps on there, so they can always go back and refer to it.
Mike, as you travel, is this like one of the recommendations that you typically make, or things that you look for when you're in store?
It's one of the first things I look at.
Hmm.
In my entire career, I've always, credibility, it comes hard, especially in this industry. And I take it very personally, and to be as transparent as we possibly can with the consumer builds trust. And if you look at, we're trying to grow our retention. And the only way that we're going to do that is to gain trust from the consumer. I'll give a good example. I'm a consumer. So we had to take my wife's car in about a week ago. And it's set up so she gets all the texts. So she got a text that says, we have your vehicle. We'll let you know when we have it inspected.
Yeah.
And we'll be back shortly. Next, she got another text. We've inspected your vehicle. These are the items that we found. And she's never seen anything like this. And it was amazing that she says, what does this mean? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that makes sense. Boy, I feel good about this. I'm sure glad they caught it. And I looked at her and I says, this is what we're trying to convey to our staff and to our customers, the importance of this. And if we can all embrace this process, it's state of the art, and it's next generation. And I think it's probably even going to take it further, where we'll add audio to it, and things of that nature, where they can hear their engine or they can see a test being performed on their car. I just think that this is growing, and it's not really that much different than the medical industry that, they show you your x-rays or you show you pictures and they do all that kind of stuff. And you feel a lot better about the doctor you're dealing with. But I think this is just a great direction we're finally going.
Tully, as a follow-up to you, you mentioned the tech turning the video around. So at the very outset, having their face on there so the customer can see it. How's that working out? And I see you've also expanded this into the shop with service advisors doing updates on videos from their desk and in the shop as well. How's that going?
So the tech video with showing their face is going slowly, as we all know in the business. But there's some of them that love to do it, and we're not talking about having their face the entire video. We just want them to show their face, and here we want to sell them as a great technician. So we're struggling because they're extremely scared. I mean, getting them to even talk on a video was difficult when we go through the training process. But the next piece is that let's show off our technicians, hello, my name is, and then turn it around and then show it back to the car, because the car is the star. But that's good. But the next step is the evolution in video is going to be the service advisors. The problem we're having with that is that all these programs out there do not include service writer videos. So the issue for us to keep that in connection, we use X time, as everybody knows, that it needs to be part of the process that we do, and it needs to be tracked. They're not interested in putting that into that process at this time, but for us to do it, I have to have a measurement. We do have certain service advisors that do go out there and shoot videos, and they send it as a tech video because that's the way it's processed. And we have gotten great results from that. I think people would love a video saying your car is done, or, hey, with the technician's working on your car today, you're showing the technician on those. As Ted, we did some of those test videos, rock solid. And I think we get better quality videos from our advisors and technicians as we see those shots. But ultimately, what business are we in? Repeat and referral business. And as we are chasing 70+% on retention, this is how we're going to get it.
Larry,
Very
you've
good
also
point,
had
Tony.
an initiative to bring parts into the shop at Nilo. I've seen some dramatic things that you've incorporated with Tully there in the shop. If you want to speak to that, because I think that's important on saving the steps and, again, the culture in the shop between parts and service.
Oh, absolutely. You know, when you break down that wall, which is called the back counter, when you eliminate that that wall that really kind of separates everything, right? So now all of a sudden we're all sharing the same bedroom, like when we're little kids, right? And so everybody can bicker and this and that, but when you actually include the parts team in with the techs, right? They're in the shop meetings. They're all hanging out. They're joking. They're hanging out at the lunch truck. They're doing all of this other stuff together, okay? Because the parts department is inside the shop. They're inside the service department, and they're absolutely supporting the techs, selling the hours. You know, the videos are helpful for the parts guys too, right? And you know,
Of
it's
course.
much more of a brotherhood. It's not parts, it's not service, it's fixed operations for a reason.
Last thing for today, everybody, gentlemen, lightning round to wrap up. 30 seconds or less, starting with Tom, over to Tully, then to Mike and Larry to bring it home. For our audience watching here today, 2026, your plans on these tech videos, recommendations, and suggestions to our audience who are watching today who may not have had as much success or maybe having as much or more than you. Tom, first, if you don't mind.
My advice is going to be get on it. If you're not doing it now, if you're just dabbling in it, really take it seriously for 2026. You're going to reap the benefits. Your technicians will, your advisors will, your customers will. It's going to impact every inch of your business. Your parts department, we're going to sell more parts. Tully will sell more parts for Larry. You just got to do it. It's time.
Love it. Tully.
You know, I think that when we look at the, if you're going to get into the business, you need to go all in, just like Tom said. But two is that have a plan. The magnet that Tom came out with was a real winner. As new technicians come in, they're not quite sure. And here's the deal: the piece of paper doesn't always work; it gets lost. Measure what you want to do. Pay your technicians what you're going to want you what you expect from them. Pay them for those pictures and videos. And then next, make it fun. Have contests. We do contests about every quarter to make it fun, and it's tied to videos. It's tied to parts sales. Everything comes together where the parts wins, service department wins, fixed ops wins. Everybody gets paid.
Mike Weldon.
2026 has got to be a breakout year for the fixed operation side of the business. You know, margins are being squeezed on the variable side. Inventory is tight. We've got to be in that position to keep that business turning and keep earning, bringing people back in. Some very valid points here, Tully. I like the idea about service advisors. I see that's an essential point of this, and I've got an idea. We'll take it off the line, but I've got an idea that where we may be able to make that work a little bit, even though X Time's not supporting it yet. And Larry, what if we had a TV or a camera in the back, or video in the back in the parts department, where the technician can actually say, "This is the item I'm looking at. This is what I'm struggling with. Can you guys help me with this?" I think this communication process, and I think that really is the crux of this, internally and externally, is so important. And we've got to do it in 2026 because our business is quickly changing.
Well said, Mike Weldon. Thank you. Larry, bring us home.
So I think I go back to one of the things that the colorblind friend of mine, Sean Kingery, talked about, you know, because he likes that green color, you know. But, you know, one of the things that he talked about was breaking down the silos, right? And we really have done a great job about breaking down the silos. When you break down that back counter, like Tully says, you board up the window and all of that stuff, and you bring the parts into the shop, into the stalls, because you know we all know parts sells hours, right? And so here's the deal: when we can support the tech in the stall, working on the car, not having to stand around the back counter BSing, talking about how the Niners beat the Packers, all of that other fun stuff. Love you, Sean. But anyway, I think what we want to do with all of this stuff, next level, 2026, next level.
Love it. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Larry Sherman and Tully Williams at the Nilo Company in California. Mike Weldon at CPI, Executive Performance Coaching. Thank you. Tom Druzynski at West Her. Thank you for all you do. Gentlemen, I want to wish you and your families and your respective organizations a very happy Thanksgiving coming up. And thank you for all your invaluable contributions to the industry. We couldn't do any of this without you. So thank you all.
Thank you, Ted.
Everybody, Tom Druzynski, Tully Williams, Mike Weldon, and Larry Sherman here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.